So first of all, allow me to take this opportunity to thank everyone who came today for a very important message that we're about to deliver. It's a message of a serial rapist that we had out from 2006 to 2008. And the message I want to share is, you know, we work every day hard taking police reports about violent crime, violent incidents, and rapes. It's a very, very violent, tragic incident for a victim. And a lot of times we run into spots where we don't have enough to look for the suspect. But the message I also want to share for the community is that we don't ever stop. We don't ever stop trying to look at ideas and witness statements or new technology to figure out how can we solve this crime and gather a suspect. We have a suspect from that series of serial rape incidents that were happening between the time period of 2006 to 2008 that we have at least 6 victims too. We're going to share a little bit further from Lieutenant Summerdike from our Special Victims Unit, how working hard continuously together as a team and working with our partners for rape crisis, as well as within the police department, the manpowers that were during that time deployed out, as well as last night when we finally captured them from our violent criminal apprehension team in partnership with the U.S. Marshals, and we got our suspect from that time period. We'll go a little bit further details. Right now I'm going to introduce to you Lieutenant Summerdike to be able to give you a little more details about it. Lieutenant Summerdike.
Thank you, Chief. Hi, thank you. So if you remember 2 years ago, I was standing up here guaranteeing we were going to make an arrest in this case. I think some of you were in the room then, and so here we are. We made an arrest in it. Finally. Yeah, so our suspect, his name is Darold Wayne Bowden. He's 43 years old. He lives on Palestine Road in Linden, North Carolina. Those of you familiar with the area, it's about 5 miles north of the city limit line. You know, it runs right off of Ramsey Street. So he's been charged with the 6 rapes that we attributed to the Ramsey Street Rapist. You remember a couple years ago when we first brought it up in our press conference. So he's right now in Cumberland County Jail under an $18.8 million bond. His first appearance is going to be tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. So, you know, really this, you know, I think we proved 2 years ago when we did the, you remember we did the snapshot DNA genealogy, the phenotype testing to create that composite that we put out there. So I think we showed back then we were willing to try out anything and everything to solve these violent crime cases, and we continue to do so. So I think some of you in the room might have heard of the Golden State Killer case from earlier this year. So basically a service called genetic genealogy testing was used to apprehend that suspect. A company called Parabon Nanolabs, based out of Virginia, conducts that service. We sent them our DNA from the Ramsey Street Rapist. They did their magic with it. You know, they looked at open source records, public family trees available online, and they were able to triangulate and figure out a strong person of interest for us. We were able to obtain his DNA, get it off to the state crime lab, and we got a match yesterday. You know, we got the guy. So yeah, I mean, we put a lot of time in these cases. You know, I think for 3 years I've poured my heart and soul in these and a lot of our other cases too. I'm sorry. It's just, and you know, I'm just glad we got the guy finally. You know, again, this really proves, I think, here at the Fayetteville Police Department, I mean, we take all these cases seriously. All these cases are important to us. Our victims, more importantly, are important to us. And we're going to do whatever it takes to get them justice. And this is just the beginning. I know 3 years ago when we formed our cold case unit, I think some of you heard me say, stay tuned, more to come. And, you know, we're not even halfway through. I'm going to leave you again with stay tuned. There's plenty more to come. This is just the beginning. I'm going to leave it to Mr. West here. I think he has a few things to say.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. This is a satisfying day for the Cumberland County District Attorney's Office and also for the Fayetteville Police Department. I cannot say enough about Lieutenant Summerdike and his team and the cold case unit and what they did and how much work they put into this particular case. I also want to thank my Assistant District Attorney, Alicia Marks. She's dedicated to sexual assaults prosecutions in our office and is specifically assigned to the cold case unit that deals with sexual assault cases, and she worked hand in hand with the Fayetteville Police Department to get a suspect and make an arrest in this particular case. I would say at this point in the investigation, the DA's office, of course, will become more involved. We've been involved from the beginning and in the investigatory process, but as we now move through the court process, we are committed to getting justice for each and every one of the victims in these cases, and to holding this defendant accountable for his actions that really startled and rattled our community years ago. I remember that time. I was a prosecutor assigned to those type of cases at that time, and it was just a very tough and difficult time for our community. So again, I would echo the comments of Lieutenant Summerendike as well as Chief Hawkins, and just say, if you commit any crime in our city or in our county, whether you break into a house, whether you rob someone, whether you sexually assault someone, whether you kill someone, we're not going to stop until we find out who did it and we arrest someone for that particular crime. And this is a great example of that. This individual has been in our community, walking around our streets for the last 10 years, probably smirking, thinking he got away with this. Well, he didn't. And we're going to get justice in these particular cases. And I cannot say enough about our law enforcement community here in Cumberland County that really is on the cutting edge of this type of investigations and these type of cases. Many police departments don't even have these type of units. They don't have grants like we have to do this type of DNA testing. And I can't say enough about the Fayetteville Police Department under the leadership of Chief Gina Hawkins for what we're able to do.
So before we start answering questions, you saw the passion that we all have, like Lieutenant Summerendike has. But I also want to let Mr. Hewitt, the city manager, come and share about the stories or what the community felt like, because he understood it at that time period. A lot of people here are new. Even I am new, but also heard the stories back then. But I'd like the city manager to come up and share a little bit about that time period.
Thank you, Chief Hawkins. Yes, I came to Fayetteville in 2004, and at that time, I can still recall that there was a great deal of fear gripping our community, particularly in the North Ramsey Street corridor. Anyone who was here at that time also recalls that we had a significant number of spikes in sexual assaults, and so much, in fact, that the City Council actually took the lead and actually held some public meetings about the fear that was gripping the community. But I think what today shows is that whether or not it's new technology, whether or not it's great and excellent detectives and their technique, one of the things, as the district attorney said, is about the tenacity to say that this is our community. We're not going to allow certain things to be in our community. We can't guarantee you that crime won't happen, but we can guarantee you that we're going to work tirelessly until we get it solved. So thank you for Chief, and thank you for your team.
So we're prepared to answer questions.
I have one.
Go ahead.
Can you detail what the dates of the assaults, the dates and just the location?
Absolutely, but what we're also going to do is provide you with a snapshot of area detail with the dates included and the age of the victim at the time. So we'll provide that on the document for you.
And what do you know about this guy? What's his background?
Are we able to, what were we able to show? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we're still creating a timeline as far as Mr. Bowden goes and gathering more information on him. He appears to be a local from that Linden area, he and his family. He was a local guy. I know there was a lot of speculation back at the time that this could be military, based on the gaps. It might be a guy getting deployed or a spec op guy or something, but he was just a local guy, living 5 miles from the crime scenes, born and raised here and still lives here.
John, we have a mugshot of him from 2014. Can you give us anything about his background in terms of?
Yeah, I guess the quickest way, the easiest way to describe him, he's just a career petty criminal. A lot of crimes of violence against women, some property crimes, burglary crimes. I think that 2014 arrest, Gilbert, you're talking about is like a larceny of auto parts
And
crime.
for you, we're going to also give you not just back in the day photo, we're going to give you present day, and we're going to give you a photo of him when we captured him last night, because there might be things that trigger victims to remember what he looked like in the past, what he looks like today, because we don't know if he stopped or what's going on, but also that might have elements about him that might trigger a memory.
So John, you're emotional here. Can you tell us, have you talked with any of the victims since the arrest was made? You're emotional about it. I'm sure they would be as well.
Yes, Gilbert. I've reached out to 4 of the 6 so far. But they're spread about the country now. We're dealing with different time zones. The other 2 I've left messages. As soon as I leave here, I'm gonna go try and call them again though. But You know, I mean, ecstatic is probably the most severe understatement of the century describing their emotion. Yeah, they're all very pleased. Yeah, finally getting them some closure.
And why did it take 10 years to connect him to this?
Yeah, so back then, I mean, like Chief said, this department spent thousands of hours starting in 2006 on these cases, and even though, you know, we had our issues with rape kits in the past, with these cases, though, I think we were pretty much on top of them. We were sending evidence off as soon as we got it. He was quickly entered into the National DNA Database in 2006, you know, after the second rape, and just no hits to date. He has barely skirted the system, probably going back 25 years. He got a felony conviction before that law came into effect, mandating DNA collection. He got an arrest for a peeping Tom just a couple years before that law came into effect, mandating DNA collection. The 2014 arrest was a felony, which if he was convicted of a felony in 2014, we would have got his DNA, but unfortunately that didn't happen, so we didn't get his DNA. So he has been on the edge of getting DNA collection for years, and it just didn't happen. That's just the way it happened. And you know, with this new technology, with our commitment to use every technology out there to solve violent crime, we were able to get him identified.
Talk about the way you use the DNA. You had to wait till you get a court order to get his DNA. But is his DNA going to connect him to other unsolved rapes, or have you already concluded that these are the only 6 that he's responsible for?
Well, for us locally, so we had 4 of our 6 cases were entered in the National DNA Database. So any other cases nationwide entered in that nationwide database, we would have got case-to-case hits. So if departments were doing what they're supposed to do and send off all their evidence, and this should be a prime example to every police department out there, send off your rape kits. You know, this state has a 15,000 rape kit backlog, and I'd be willing to bet that his DNA is probably in at least one of those 15,000 unsubmitted kits, along with several other serial rapists. So, yeah, just with our commitment to get these kits sent off back then, you know, we got them uploaded and entered. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of relief now, but how frustrating is it that he's been in jail before you guys? He was right there and somehow slipped away.
Like I said, that's just the way it played out. You know, if it had played out different, you know, maybe we'd have got that break earlier, but it didn't. But we are committed to using every available technology on this case, starting in 2006, and the technology finally caught up to him.
We've got time for about 2 more questions.
Okay, I have a question. When you were speaking about the DNA and about using one of these sort of genealogical or whatever DNA testing site, does that indicate that you had to go through some type of a family member or to get going that route?
Well, no, and when they do the press release, there'll be a link to Parabon Nanolab's website that'll explain that process more in detail. My understanding that they upload that DNA into a public genealogy database, and then they're able to gather information based on results from that DNA upload.
In that database?
He was not family members who have uploaded their DNA for genealogy purposes were there, and then they're able just to triangulate based on all the different matches they got.
Morgan, you had a question?
I heard someone mention a grant. Can you talk about the grant for the technology, the resources?
Yeah, we were awarded the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative grant in 2015 and 2016. We have over $1 million in grant funding to completely reduce our rape kit backlog. That project's actually almost coming to an end here. Our backlog's down to about, I think, 116 now. And, you know, it was up over 600 when we started that project. So yeah, and we're hoping to get we're actually got hits rolling in on that grant that we're making arrests on too.
One question for Billy. Now that you have this type of evidence, can you talk about the difficulty or the ease at which you'll be able to prosecute these cases based on the information and the evidence that you have?
Sure, I can't get into the specific facts, but there will be a challenge, but we can meet that challenge. We'll have our legal assistants begin making contact with these individuals and providing whatever services that they need, and also getting all the information we can from them. I know that Lieutenant Summer Dyke and his team, there'll be an expansive investigative file in this case, and when that file comes over to the DA's office, we'll review that and determine the appropriate charges for the grand jury at that point. So we've got multiple victims, multiple crime scenes. multiple dates of offense. So something like that is always challenging, but I'm sure Ms. Marks will be prosecuting the case. There'll be several others in the office that are involved in the case as well. So we certainly think that that we can handle it, particularly with the support of the police department. But it does present challenges. But I'm confident that the police department has given us a strong case and one that we can prosecute and get justice for these victims.
The victims have to testify.
Generally, that is the case in any case that is a victim-associated case, whether it be a sexual assault or actually whether someone's home is broken into. Generally, the victim is going to have to testify to certain elements that we have to prove. So, yes, we would need their testimony should the case go to trial.
So as we close, can't reiterate everyone who's here in this room, the support, the partnership, U.S. Marshal helping us out, trying to find them. But I do want to thank you all here, the community, the media, because you let the information out to the community to be aware and to share this information, because we're going to need more leads. If there's anyone else out there who may believe they are a victim to Mr. Darold Wayne Bowden, we'll send out the pictures, we'll send out hits, and give us a call. We'll provide you with the numbers, the tip line number, and specifically Lieutenant Summerdyke's number, because as you can see, he's very passionate about this. So thank you very much. I appreciate y'all.